Oklahoma is recognized for 5 minutes for purposes of debate only.
I move to strike the last word. I am not going to take my 5 minutes, but I do want to point out some things. You know, we hear our colleagues on the other side, and my good friend from Massachusetts just brought it up, that if a person's having to choose between paying their health care or rent, then that's not freedom. We've heard the prices going through the roof right now. Earlier, I don't know, it may have been 21 hours ago, I brought up the fact that premiums across the board have raised by 25%, double digits. Oklahoma, premiums have raised by 76%. In Arizona, 116%. That isn't freedom. That's not choice when we're driving insurers out of the market. And the majority of the counties across the country only have one insurer to choose from. Oklahoma only has one insurer on the exchange to choose from. That's not freedom. You're stuck. This is about bringing down the price. And when we start talking about Medicaid, it has 4 purposes. It's to take care of the child, the single mother that's pregnant, the blind, and the disabled. That's what it was intended for. That was what it was intended for. It was also intended for the states to run it because the states know their population the best. All we're talking about is returning that freedom back to the states. You're telling me that people here in Washington, D.C., that's surrounded by concrete and have a misrepresentation of what the rest of the country is like, can tell my parents what kind of health care they should have when they've never been on our place? We've lived in the same place for, well, since before statehood. Literally. Washington, D.C. has no reason to be making those decisions. That's why Medicaid was set up to be pushed down to the state's level and let the states run them. We can do it more efficiently, and we can do it more effectively. I have personally met with over 30 governors. I don't know how many of my colleagues over here have met with more than 30 governors. And what they keep saying on Medicaid, give us flexibility. Give us flexibility. We can run it more efficiently and provide better service. We're talking about rural health centers where I live. There's 36 rural hospitals, and all of them are almost going broke right now because they can't afford to take the reimbursement rates that they're required to take the way the AHCA, Obamacare, has it set up. Yes, Joe, I'll yield to you.
I'll be quick. I'll give it back to you. Mr. Mullin, I concede from
Mr. Mullin, wow,
who has not been to Oklahoma that I cannot possibly indicate to you or your family what your health choices should be. And I do concede that flexibility would be good, and I would concede that there's challenges with the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. Now, we can go back and forth a bit as to why that is and why that happened and all the rest of it. I don't mean to get into that argument now. I will say a couple of points. One, we have heard an awful lot out of your caucus that the Affordable Care Act is not working for you in your states and in your districts. I take that.
Joe, and all due respect, we've heard a lot of that from you all too.
Well, so I take you at your word for that, clearly. I would also say that on all of the graphs that you put up, that your caucus has put up, there's not a single one that says what your plan is going to do to those premiums. This has been a referendum on the AHCA without any discussion as to how yours is going to make it better.
Reclaiming my time, just from the business experiences that I have, because that's all I've done. Politics is new to me, guys. But I think it plays.
I think you were a fighter at one point.
Well, it plays. That actually is good for up here. It plays just common sense. The more I can get government out of my companies, the more I can get the mandates away from me, the easier it is to provide service to my customers, which allows me to have larger revenues, which allows me to hire and expand, which is the backbone of our economy. 50% of this country's economy is driven by small businesses owners.
With the gentleman,
those are those S corps. 50%. And we're talking about getting rid of those mandates, bringing the market back alive, allowing entrepreneurs who built this country to come back alive, reinvest in the insurance market, and create an atmosphere for that to be conducive. If we can create an atmosphere for entrepreneurs to come alive, we will. We don't create anything but barriers here in Washington, D.C. When we create an environment for entrepreneurs to come alive. That alone, competition will drive down the cost. I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I'll yield back.
Gentleman's time is